Hello, hello. Ha. Everyone gets an automatic A if I'm 10 minutes late. Not quite. Almost. Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? I am slightly late, but I'm here. Let me know if you can hear me. Novice Artisan thinks the bronze may have won. Well, you might be right. Alive and well. Old school repair shop. We can hear you, Pixel Master. Excellent. Thank you. Just gonna get adjusted here. I turned off the heater up here, but it's just like blasting loud in my ear. I don't know if you can hear that, but I can. Oh, there it goes. Turned off. There's a delay. I had this place heating up, so it wasn't quite so hot. Jack Levine, hello. All right, so yesterday I poured the bronze test against the winners from the other two wood things, and it's going to be kind of interesting because I'm 99% sure almost that I poured it way too hot because the last couple of years actually I haven't been using that original burner. I've been using like a different one that I kind of cobbled together that's way quieter. It's a little quieter, a little less finicky, but it works great for aluminum, but it just doesn't get that hot. So like bronze, it might work for bronze, but I run out of patience. So what I did, I grabbed some parts and kind of cobbled the old one back together. And I kind of forgot that that thing was such a major pain to use, but it was also just uncontrollably hot. So as soon as I like switched it over to forced air, the temperature just went through the roof. Everything liquefied immediately. And I don't think I was quick enough to get it poured before it was overheating. So none of the wood may have survived, but the bronze sure poured nice. I know that. Uh, without further ado, the most recent. Didn't know you were streaming. Yeah, I don't usually stream that often, and I announced this one just in a community post, but I don't think those get pushed out very much. So I'm not sure how many people actually saw that. But yeah, I'm gonna grab the flask. It's on the ground. I'm gonna stick it up here on this bench, and we're going to open it up and see what happens. It's been a long time since I poured bronze, and it was insanely hot. Let me tell you. What's up? Not too much. Marty Preps. Good to see ya. You didn't see the post. Yeah, see those, sometimes those posts, they don't go out. No one sees them. And then other times they'll put it and it'll be like 100 something thumbs up. So like that one went out. I don't know how it works. Hickory flask, by the way, with these things, way easier to lift. Way easier to lift. Stream showed up as planned. Didn't see the post. Yeah, I don't know what's up with posts. Posts don't always go out, you know? Love the channel. Greetings from Sweden. Thank you very much. Pung scum? Not sure I know how to. Got a smelter and melter down some soda cans. How do I stop it from being weird in the crucible? What do you mean being weird? Do you mean like all that scum building up? That happens when you melt cans. The cans are full of gunk. Not sure what you mean being weird in the crucible. Otherwise, how are you doing? Doing good. Doing a little tired. I have another ill kid, so hard to get sleep when one of the kids is sick. Of course, my wife got a lot less sleep than I did, so I probably shouldn't complain too much. Captain Jerk, hello. Weird ashy stuff around liquid. Okay, so the problem with melting cans is there's a lot of crap in the cans, a lot of like a plastic liner, and whoa, we're angling, and you're gonna get crud melting cans for sure. There, that's kind of a weird angle to have for a stream. Oh well. So the flask worked. I got some of this bubbly gunk. I think the bubbly gunk is because like there's wood and the wax in there and on a couple of the pieces. So I think a lot of that just flash boiled and tried to bubble out. And I ended up getting bubbling out this hole. So got to scoop away the crud. Yeah, when you get the crud, it'll float up to the top of the aluminum. You got to scoop that out. The crud from this melt is over on the floor over there. I tried like bashing it out. Anyway, it's the reason I think this was too hot. It's because I had like the dross floating to the top of the bronze melt. And I was scooping it out with a steel scoop, and the end like got red hot and fell off the end of the steel scoop. So I know it wasn't hot enough to melt steel, but it was definitely hot enough to really weaken that. I'm gonna need to make another one of those. Got some pieces, you can see the bronze color. This is tin bronze, by the way. So it's like 90% copper, 10% tin. Novice Artisan, Happy New Year. Yes, Happy New Year to everybody. First stream of the new year. And this, my flask would have been perfectly good too, except I got these like splashy bits kind of fell on top of it. It's fine. Bronze, you can remelt bronze. Shouldn't be a problem. I hope anyway. Just want to save all the bits. And you know, I had to go buy, I went and bought some more, some of the tin lead-free solder that's 95% tin. That stuff's gone up in price a lot. I think from now on, I'm just gonna buy ingots of bronze because I think that way is just cheaper. I just need to plan better and I can just buy, you know, 10 pounds of bronze. So I forget what the stuff was, but it was way too expensive, the tin. The middle of the crucible is clean metal, poured right past the crap layer. Yeah, that works too, because the crap kind of just sticks and it floats. Moment of truth, unscrewing the pins. They did not give me puncture wounds at all when I tried picking it up. I'm excited. Don't know about you, but I'm excited. I also made some ingots of bronze. I had mostly full crucible because I figured like if I'm gonna melt a bunch of bronze, I'm gonna make a lot of it, and then I'm just gonna have the ingots there next time I want to cast something in bronze. And it pours so nice, like it makes aluminum look like garbage the way aluminum pours. Okay, moment of truth. All this stuff should be stuck. I think the stuff is all stuck in the top flask, but we'll see. Grr. Oh no, it was in the bottom flask. My mistake. All right. Whoop. Okay, we got a chunk of wood, chunk of wood. Let's see, another chunk of wood. Ah. Chunk. Brick of bronze right there. And you know, doing the top down, the top flask on there too, it was a lot less smoky. I also had the door, I did it in the garage, but I had the doors open. Like the garage door is cracked open, then I have the side door back here that was cracked open, and there was so much flow through, it sucked all the smoke right out the door. I didn't have to worry about it. Okay, there's one of the black wood pieces, and here is walnut. Stuck right in there. Okay, now this flask, I'm gonna clean up the sand later. So I'll just stick that back together and move that to the side. Worry about that in the future. That stuff's always a pain to clean because I separate out the burned Petrobond from the non-burned. Drat, wasn't watching the clock. Me neither. That's why I was a little late. Working on something, helping my wife with something. I'm like, oh, it's like 5:04. I gotta go to the garage. Whoops. Going to practice aluminum, chop up engine castings or wheels, cans and extrusions, whatever is garbage. He is correct. That is 100% correct. Let's see. Yeah, here's the difference. Charred, uncharred. This is still malleable. Whoops. And this will crunch into like a powder. So you just kind of sand. So you got to separate them out. And a lot of this stuff is actually, it gets a little bit wrecked. The stuff that's by like this piece of wood, because this piece of wood leaches a bunch of wax out because this came soaked in wax, and it just ruins the sand. It turns it all into a brick. So the pieces of sand that are stuck to this piece, I'm just going to throw away. And in fact, they're stuck. That's sand. This is wood. That's stuck on there. I can't break it free. There we go. So that's just junk. I don't have a garbage can. I don't plan well for this. Oh, 2 inches away from the garbage can. All right. How many bets do you have? What are your bets? Which one won? Uh, Charizard. Yeah, it was pretty hot. Where do you get metals from? So all over. So aluminum, the pure aluminum stuff I have, I got that from some extrusions. I had some like screen doors, and I used the pure stuff. I was using the pure stuff to mix with copper to make aluminum bronze because I wanted like actual like pure aluminum and not just a mystery casting alloy, which is going to have some amount of silicon, some amount of carbon in there. I wanted as pure as possible aluminum. The casting aluminum, the cast aluminum I got was from appliance parts, cast aluminum appliance parts, and those were die cast. You can tell by looking at it, they were cast in dies and not in sand. So they're probably A380 aluminum, which is not actually very good for sand, for gravity fed sand casting. Um, let's see, the copper is a mix of plumbing and electrical stuff. I have a big, thick, like 1 inch square, like super long uh, chunk of copper that I think was a power bus or something. And then a bunch of pipes. The tin, I got a lead-free solder. One of the kinds of lead-free solder, you got to get the kind that will tell you what the makeup is, because some of it will just say lead-free solder, but they won't tell you what's in it. And I want to know what's in it. There's one kind that's 95% tin. So that's what I bought to use the tin to mix with this bronze. And then, other odds and ends for other metals. Recommend going to a scrapyard for metals. Yeah, that's probably the cheapest way to do it. That's probably definitely the cheapest way. And there is a scrapyard around here that I suppose I could go to, but I just haven't had time. They're open when I'm at work, and they're not open the rest of the time. But I've just been slowly gathering it up. So we have balsa. It is not I didn't even do balsa. I didn't bother. Like the blowtorch test just turned the thing into like a pile of ash. Like it didn't even look like wood afterwards. Walnut, one for walnut. Lead-free pewter tankards. That's possible. I don't have time to go to thrift stores though. How long is the stream? Until I'm done. Probably not that long. But the options are, I have this black piece here with African blackwood. That piece that I showed you. African blackwood, and this was ebony. So we're just gonna look at those first. I didn't put those. I'm not like gonna make something out of ebony, right? That's really expensive. So let's find out how well these did. Ebony. I don't know if that'll focus. Focus on the piece of wood. Not really focusing on the piece of wood. It doesn't look too bad. Smells kind of like beef jerky. That's strange. It's charred. You can see it got charred up, but I can't stick my fingernail in that. It's still rock hard. So that's ebony. This next piece is called African blackwood. Don't know the difference. I thought ebony was from Africa and it was black, so who knows? That looks quite a bit worse. I'm just saying that looks much worse off. And it's kind of hard to see, but every time I tap this, my it's still really hard. I can jam my fingernail in there though, so it's not as good as ebony. But it's still very hard. Very hard. Nice pattern. Yeah, that is a cool pattern. So Osage orange looks pretty screwed. Remember, this was 2 pieces glued thickness, so that's 1 vote against it. So that didn't turn out very good, but looks kind of interesting. The 2 halves look kind of different from each other. It's a little crunchy. See, I got some charcoal on my finger. This held up to bronze better than a lot of the other ones held up to aluminum. Interesting. Next up, hard maple. Hard maple got hard screwed. That doesn't look good at all. Wonder what's up with, why is this so deflated? That looks pretty bad. Ooh. Can you hear that? Yeah. Hard maple not so great. So hard maple is below Osage on the rankings. I mean, I'm going to do a little more in-depth look at it. Translates to ball sack foam. Okay. Old internet stuff. Hickory also. Hickory doesn't look very good either. Now I'm using a new phone camera, and I don't think this camera works very good. Come on, focus. Hickory, that's pretty chewed up. There are chunks falling off it. That's about as bad. That's just about as bad as hard maple. Which one smells? Hickory smells nice. Can't complain about the smell of hickory. Hard maple, I don't smell much. Next up, white oak. White oak, you know, a lot of these woods really don't look very good, if I'm honest. White oak, it looks a little less screwed up than the walnut, and then the hickory and the maple. Oh. It's a little tougher. So I think white oak did a little bit better than the other two, than the hickory and the. I'm gonna try to make a ranking here. Yeah, I think white oak's better than Osage. Next up, cherry. Cherry got really screwed. You know, trying to the fingernail test to push in. It didn't look like it was sunk back quite so far. It feels pretty tough on the fingernail test. It's not crunching when I push my finger into it, but you get kind of a, it gives. It has a give, but it's a soft give. Oh wow, look at that. Like you can see the narrowing as it goes up because of the heat just like burning it, charring it away. And walnut. So walnut was a much thicker board. So there's a section of this board that was below the sand level. So none of the metal actually got to it, and you're going to see that. And there it is. This section was along the bottom. So that wasn't touched by the metal. Doesn't look good though. Yeah, it's kind of softer. So I think hickory did worse than cherry. Yeah, about as bad as maple. All right, so here are the rankings then of these woods. At the bottom, hard maple and walnut. Slightly better cherry maybe. Then hickory, then osage, then white oak. But at the very top, ebony. African blackwood a little less, but I'm not going to make a table out of ebony or African blackwood. It's too expensive, although a bronze river through ebony would be really cool looking. How do you test for the wood has a hole through side so the bronze will flow through it and act as an anchor? Could you do it? So what I'm thinking of there is you have like the boards, right? And there's like the flow through area. I'm thinking of having them separate boards, right? But driving like, and as it cools, it solidifies on the screw, and that will hold it in place. But I'll need to like back all this with like angle iron so it doesn't go some crazy way. Can you imagine doing that and then the whole thing cooling like this? Like, how are you going to bring that back without just wrecking everything? You know, that's my one question. But then say you would have the metal like where my finger is, then you would have a char line, and then you would have a good wood surface. You would have to fill the gaps in there probably with epoxy. And that was avoiding epoxy was kind of the whole point of this, but I don't think it's avoidable. Time to take the dogs out. Okay, I'm on my own. What are your plans when you find the wood you like? Table? Well, table probably not, because I would need a lot of metal to fill a gap in a table. I don't really know. It's more a question. Like, could you do this with metal? Like, I've seen people try, but I never really liked their results. And I wonder if they did any tests like this where they found like a wood that could take it. So I might try to do this, not so much for a table, but maybe for like a footstool, like something small. Because not only is a lot of metal, like for a big table, that would be really expensive, but metal also shrinks when it cools, and it's going to shrink the long way, and wood doesn't shrink that way. So I think the difference between the metal shrinking and the wood would grow. The difference would get a lot bigger the bigger the table is. So this is probably a much more smaller scale thing. Mexican ironwood trees might be your best bet. A cutting board. Sure, that might work. How are the kids? Sick. Well, one of them's sick. Just wondering how epoxy would hold up to the heat of casting. Probably not well. I was thinking do epoxy after. That would be the final step. So I would like make the table, and it would have like the gap, and then you run the metal through, and then sand everything to the same level, smooth, and clean up everything, and then clean it out, and any gaps filled out with epoxy. Probably black epoxy, because the gaps would be between the metal and the wood. And the wood line along the metal will be black. So if you put black epoxy in that gap, it would fill. You wouldn't be able to see it. You know. Use oak and hickory to make the handles of your shields. Oak and hickory is tough. It's good tough wood, especially hickory. Have you experimented with water glass? I have not. People have mentioned that. That might be a good idea. Like that might be somewhere to go with this. I don't think I'm going to keep doing experiments with this. I'm either going to make something, which might be a while because I'm going to have to like make something. Got to have time. I might make something with this eventually, but my real plan is to get down the lathe. So up there, remember the gingery lathe? Up there, it's all in a bin. And it's ready to come down here once I clean this up. Put the epoxy before sanding, then sand everything down to level. That's probably a good idea, because that's actually a much better idea, because I don't want the epoxy on the top to soak into the wood, because I want the wood finish on top to be on the wood, not on the epoxy, because I'm afraid there would be a difference in like absorption between the epoxy soaked wood and the wood itself. Who knows though? Because the finishes that I like using tend to be oil finishes. They don't like form a film. They soak in. That's my preference anyway. I made like a little kneeling desk for one of my kids, and I finished it with it's in cherry, and I finished it with Odie's oil, and I really like the way it looks. So I'd probably try to do something like that. That's the idea anyway. There's a guy local to me that does wood carving. One thing he does is pre-char the wood. Interesting. I mean, pre-charring would probably be a good idea, because this char surface, you know, I think when it chars, it's like off-gassing a bunch of stuff, and once it's off-gassed, it doesn't have to off-gas again, right? Just a thought. Cutting board might be a bad idea due to organic material hiding in creases. Yeah, that's true. That's probably true. I mean, like a decorative cutting board, because like I've seen people hang cutting boards on the wall, and they don't actually like use them, which seems weird to me. Why would you just hang a plank of wood on the wall? But you know, go for it, I guess. Hello, Shroom Day. Can another metal go on top to cover the gaps, like drill a few holes in the bronze? Maybe. I think I've seen someone do like metal into gaps in wood, and they just do a kind of open casting look. But they tend to use like pewter. And I don't know, I didn't really like the way it looks, because a lot of these metals, they don't flow like water, right? They ball up, they have a higher surface tension. I think aluminum especially is like that. And for it to like really get in there and run into all the cracks, it would have to be a little flowier and then stay liquid long enough that it wouldn't just cool down and solidify before it could run into all those cracks. And I don't know that there's a metal that can do that exactly. You know, even if you got like a room temperature metal, and tried like, I don't know, try to get mercury to run in that. Mercury's got a lot of surface tension. It will ball up. It will not flow into little cracks like that. Or like pewter. That's right, Cone Dodger. Gold, yeah. Gold would probably be easier than this bronze stuff. If it flows anything like silver, gold probably. But a lot of those jewelry things, they use centrifugal casting, like a big swinging thing. And I really don't want to swing a lump of molten metal around in this garage. That seems like a bad idea. You can add silicon to aluminum, make it easier to cast, make it flow better. Yeah, I mean you can just get aluminum with more silicon in it. You know, but maybe someday. I think the best are like hypereutectic pistons, like hypereutectic cast pistons. They have way too much silicon in it, which helps reduce. I think it reduces the expansion rates. So they don't shrink like expand and shrink as much as the engine heats up and cools down. So you can get a better like get a better seal. You have about 20 of those. Cone. Hypereutectic cast pistons. Those have like double the silicon content of normal cast, of like the aluminum and cast wheels, or cast heads, or cast aluminum blocks. Those pistons are like double. So I've even heard of people take those, melt those down, not forged pistons, but that kind of cast piston, and they mix it 50-50 with like crap pure aluminum, and it makes like a good casting aluminum out of it. Vacuum assisted casting shouldn't be hard to enclose the area you're pouring into. Yeah, I mean, vacuum assist, that might work too. But like we're getting like more and more complicated, and I want to keep things fairly simple, and bronze pours so nice. I'm not sure I want to do anything other than just normal gravity fed sand casting. I say that now. Next week I'll want to do vacuum assisted casting. Who knows? Literally a tote full. Really? And do you want any of these to stay not melted? Because I know a guy. Actually, I have a full. You like to look at bronze too? Yeah. I don't have any good chunks around here, but cause see, like it goes yellow, kind of like brass, like this part. The thing is, as soon as you polish that off, it turns bronze color, but like that bright bronze color. And then if you leave it by a bag of pool chlorine, it changes other fun colors. I don't have a chunk of bronze like that, but I do have that aluminum bronze spear. Hold on a sec. So this was sitting on top of a bag of pool chlorine. And see, it's got like a faint green. It's also gone like the kind of the black that aluminum bronze will naturally want to go, but it's a little green. You know, I know aluminum bronze is more resistant to patina, but that's some patina. Maybe I'll try to like rub some oil on that and see if it's a cooler looking color, because it doesn't really look all that nice. It's not that bright, like in your face green that you can see with some bronze or copper. Who knows? The tip still is not bent over, even though I frequently like jam it into stuff for fun. It's not ultra sharp either. Like it could probably cut you, but I have not sharpened that since the very first time I've sharpened that. Instead of bronze between the boards, how about a frame of bronze around the board, table cutting board? Yeah, maybe. Making your own liver of sulfur from lye and sulfur is easy. You can make sweet. Yeah, I mean, I've looked into that. I just haven't tried yet. I was thinking maybe they put all kinds of corrosive junk on the roads here to make like the ice melt. Like what if I just took a chunk of something, like stuck it under my wife's car and just left it there, like taped it to a mud flap and just see what happens? Just all the salt spray all winter. What it does is not good, but maybe it'd be cool to like to bronze or something. I don't know. Might be neat. Oh, here's that other burner I was talking about. There's a chunk that goes here that I took off. But this little cobbled together mess is so quiet. Have you been cutting the wood? Not lately. Have you cast arrowheads, Bronze Age style? I've never cast arrowheads. That's a good idea though. So I could probably cast a bunch in a row. That would be pretty neat. I'm gonna have to look at how the bronze reacted to the wood too. This might just be a terrible idea, and I just scrap it after looking at all this. You know, who knows? Probably end up green, blue pretty quickly. Is that a diesel burner? No. Everything I got's propane. So this is not complete. This is just like the Venturi, right? And then on here, I stuck like another like this size pipe with a cap on it and a hole drilled in to shoot. And there's a gap here. So it would shoot through the hole, and then out the other end would be nice blue flame. And this is dead silent. Very quiet burner, very reliable. The flame never tries to shoot back in there. That other burner that I made a long time ago that I have all those videos about, that thing is crazy loud all the time. And if you crank it into like, you can do it just with the air pressure and it's loud. And then if you turn the blower on and crank the air up even more, or crank the pressure up more, it is unbearably loud and insanely hot. Like it's painful. I was wearing full like welding stuff, welding goggles. I should have just been wearing a welding helmet. It was so loud. but I couldn't wear a welding helmet with my earmuffs, my noise canceling earmuffs, which I needed because it was crazy loud. How rusty is the gingery? Probably not at all. I mean, it's all aluminum. It's just right here, you know? Hang on, I'll grab it. This is the steel part. The bedways, you know, with the holes and stuff. It's, and this was just steel. This was just steel. And it's not, oh, here's a little bit. There's some rust here and there. It's not too bad. The rest of the thing's aluminum. Actually, the rest of it's in a bin. That piece is not in the bin because it's too big. It doesn't fit in the bin. Have you made a video about the quiet burner? Yeah, it's in. I made like a raccoon furnace. It's in that one. It's the burner I made for that. And then I just kept using it because it's so quiet. And actually, the end that went on the piece that goes here. There's the cap that goes on the end, and I drilled that hole. That cap I stole off the other burner. So I couldn't actually use the other burner until I went out and bought another cap. And because I'm, lazy, that took like years to go do that. And then I bought the wrong one. Had to go back again. And then it was like Christmas and then New Year's. And like when I'm off, they're all closed. Interesting design. Have a T burner almost as loud as an angle grinder. Considered switching to diesel instead of building a new propane one. No, I don't. Well, the thing is, I don't have diesel here. I don't have any diesel. I don't have any diesel cars. I have no tanks of diesel, but I already have propane because I have a propane grill in the backyard. So like I already had propane tanks, so that's why I went with that, and it worked fine. Like if I can take cast iron and get it molten in under half an hour from cold, I don't need more power. Diesel might be quieter, but maybe not. I think that's more an issue with the burner design and not the fuel itself. As an experiment, left a few chunks of cast aluminum next to the sink. It's now white, got a white oxide layer on it. Yeah, I've seen that before too. So that aluminum bronze thing here, I think that's where this white, I don't know if it's going to show up very well because this camera cannot do macro to save its life, but there's a white powder along the edge. And in here too, like there's the green, right, from the copper, obviously, but this is very white. So I wonder if that's from the aluminum in there. But it's not like thick and crusty. And then some of the trim bits I pulled out of the van, which I think are aluminum, cast aluminum. They also, like especially where my feet hit as I'm walking in, because I used to drive the thing all winter, so the thing just had like salty crap just on it. That had big chunks that were rusted out, but it was white powdery. Some designs are easy to build and achieve higher temperatures with cheap fuel. Yeah, both of these are pretty easy. The big one that I used for this burner, like this other one from long ago, this was a few more plumbing fittings and some extra junk duct taped on. This was a little more challenging to build, but it was still like 20 bucks. 20 bucks worth of stuff. Well, that flare is starting to get really screwed from all the heat. I don't know if that's good or bad, or if it doesn't matter. How can I make a foundry hot enough to melt cast iron? I think a lot of them do. Like if you just do mine like step by step, it will melt cast iron. Like this thing can melt cast iron. I think a couple people, and I think at least one guy, let me set that down. At least one guy who has a Devil Forge used it to melt cast iron, but like it's not recommended because it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. Chirpy's here. Hello. Jack Levine, careful cutting wood, get blisters. Yeah, blisters happen. Diesel and oil burner can be a lot louder than propane burner. See, I think Chirpy's done all this, so he would know. I've never tried. I just know when this was complete. This is not a burner. This is part of a burner, most of a burner. When this is running, I can't hear it. Even if it gets really I have to start it low, and then as the furnace heats up, I just crank it hotter and hotter and hotter because it'll be able to pull more air through. And even on max, you can barely hear this thing. My other one, the other one with those holes drilled in the side and stuff, with no blower going, it sounds like a jet engine. With the blower going, it sounds like someone has an air mattress pump strapped to your head. It is so loud. Very, very hot though. And that thing does cast iron. I don't think this other one would. Although this and that little raku furnace that I had and a bigger one, there's a bigger kiln right there that I converted to gas. Using this burner and enough time, it will get up to like 2,400 degrees and it just keeps climbing. You don't want to go hotter than that with pottery, but if you had a couple hours to wait for the iron to melt, you could do it. Stick with lower temp metals instead of cast iron for a while. Yeah, do aluminum. Do a lot of aluminum. Cracked open a bottle of homebrew beer. That's good. I'm glad it turned out awesome. Pixel Master, prefer electric furnace. Haven't tried propane or diesel. Dealing with fuel doesn't seem worth the effort. So electric. So I have a couple electric kilns back there. I can't see which ones. I think the one that peeking out there and the one peeking out there, those are electric, and one of them's like a 50 ampere. It just takes hours to get up to temperature. Once it's up to temperature, they're fine. My little one here that's behind. Let me just. Here we go. That one, that's the one I used. Ignore the lawnmower there. That ugly one with propane can melt anything in no time. So that's nice. It's much faster. That's the real benefit, I think, to propane, the speed. Chirpy uses a leaf blower. That's a lot more powerful than an air mattress pump. No garden, no safe space inside to run it. Electric is crazy expensive in the UK. Yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard electric power in Europe in general, like because natural gas is like 10 times the price as it is here, your electricity is way more expensive. Here, the electricity is like hard. I don't even think about how much electricity I'm using if I'm going to do something, because like it doesn't really move the needle on the electric bill all that much. Like we recently had a hose faucet in the backyard, just started leaking a little bit. That raised my utility bill way more than any amount of power use I've ever tried. And like water is cheap too, but like a little leaky hose is a lot of water. But like electricity is really cheap here. Have you seen induction furnaces? Yeah, those are pretty cool too. I think the issue with electric stuff, you can get anything to melt. You can heat up small things really quickly. You can heat up big things really slowly. To heat up a lot of stuff really fast, you need a lot of power. And I don't know if my breaker box could handle like that much energy usage, because it can handle the energy usage of these kilns, like the big one. The big one on this side peeking out. Oh, you may not be able to see it behind that. But there's a big one over there that's 50 amps. So it's 240 volt, 50 amp. That's about the cost the company's extracting is zero more. Yeah, well, you know, when supply goes down, everyone's prices go up until the people at the bottom can't buy it anymore. You know, it's kind of a bummer. But in the US, like natural gas, like there's so much natural gas from the shale fields here that like it's barely moved the needle. Like it's just not expensive here. And I think where I live too, we are on natural gas power. Because we're fairly close to like the Dakotas natural gas, the shale fields. Fast melting times mostly because of powerful blower and insane amount of insulating refractory. Yeah, so my furnace is built out of not the super well insulating stuff. So I have insulating fire bricks, but like the 2300 degree insulating fire bricks insulate better than the 2800 degree ones, which I have. But I got those because like higher numbers means more heat, right? Well, they don't insulate very well. Some of these kilns are made of like 2600 degree ones. They insulate a lot better. But if you pick the brick up, it feels like even lighter than the 2800 degree one, which is, it's kind of weird. New induction furnaces can work in U.S. power restrictions, like 3 to 6 kilogram graphite crucibles. Interesting, yeah, 3 to 6. That's not too bad. I think the one I was using for this test was like an 8, but like I rarely need one bigger than a 6. The thing with casting titanium, like melting titanium, molten titanium reacts with the oxygen in the air so much you really want like an argon atmosphere or something, CO2 atmosphere, and I'm not going to get into that. Um, Europe, your furnace draws 1800 watts. Electricity was 30 cent. What's that? I don't know what your thing is. Before the war, now it's up to 50. Yeah, it's gone up. So even now, it's still not even £1 or €1 an hour. Don't think propane would be cheaper. Yeah, it's hard to say. It's just propane is so cheap here, and so is electricity. So that's handy. Hasn't been snowing by you? No, it's too warm to snow. It snowed. We had a white Christmas, and then it's just been too warm since then. 30 cents. Okay, 30 cents per kilowatt hour. That sounds really high. 30 cents per kilowatt hour. I don't know why I'm thinking ours is like less than half that easily. UK have entire North Sea oil fields, which we give entirely to BP, other petrochemicals. Set a supply for free of their own resources. Interesting. Even turning titanium, the chips off, it can actually spontaneously burst into flames. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to try melting titanium. I might try melting steel. Like cast iron, I know I can melt pretty well, but I might try just like a big chunk of steel, just because that has a higher melting temperature than cast iron. Might be fun to try. I'm not going to cast anything with it because it also reacts with the air. That's why welding steel, you need a shielding gas or something. How much does it cost to fill a 10-kilogram cylinder? I don't know. I don't even know how big these cylinders are. Hang on. So this is the propane tank I use, and that's just that's 15 pounds. So 15 pounds, that's what, like 6 or 7 kilograms? I don't know what the cost is. I got a bunch a while ago, and I haven't had a refill yet because I've just been burning through the ones I already have. And I mean by a while ago, I mean like 3 years, because I bought a bunch of them. Steel really can't be done that well. Even if you look at it, it will want to freeze up on you. And it probably won't make a good casting either. I just want to see if I can melt it. But I know doing so would probably kill one of my crucibles, so I don't know if that's a good idea. Doubt propane will melt steel without injecting oxygen in the burner directly. Yeah, that's what people told me about cast iron too, but it seemed to work. I mean, even if it's a failure, it'd be worth trying, right? When I say I paid like $18 to fill my grill tank last time, that sounds about right. Like I think $18 sounds about what I pay. But I go to the most convenient place around here. And I think that changes the pricing very much so. Made lead army men with a mold from the 1940s. Came out super shiny and clean. Lead casts pretty good. Paying 32 cents per kilowatt hour in Massachusetts. Yeah, but that's Massachusetts. That's an expensive place to live. Wisconsin's cheap for like everything. If you do a try with a high carbon amount of steel, so you can get that because it lowers the melting temp, would give you the best chance. That's a good point. I'd have to use steel that I know what it is, because I know I got some mild steel, and that doesn't have very much carbon in it. But then I got a bunch of other random kinds of steel. I think some of them might be chromoly steel, like that would probably have a really high melting point. And I have some stainless steel, and I really don't know. So I'd have to like buy a chunk of a steel that I know. A bit over $20 to refill the grill type propane tanks here. I don't know what it costs here. I think last time I paid like $18, but that was a couple years ago. But it was at like the expensive place. Like I know it was under 20. That's really cheap, almost double that in Europe. Burner only gets me 3 hours of runtime per bottle. That's too bad. Like I very rarely have to change a bottle, especially doing aluminum. Like with this burner, it's like barely cracked open. So I could probably run it on this. It doesn't even cool the tank off. So doing aluminum, I could probably do aluminum for a couple days. Because it just barely takes any heat. And once it's up to temperature, just like the burner just cracked open a little bit, just keeps it molten. Don't forget to hit like. Yes. Thank you very much. Electric furnaces in the UK are lovely. That's good. Yeah, well, I assume in the UK, novice artisan, I assume you don't have the kind of like space that we have here to like expand out and do junk. Because like I got a 4-car garage here, like, and a backyard with a fence that no one can see into. So if I want to do anything like super sketchy, I can just do it back there. I also have neighbors who are all like chill. They're pretty cool. None of them complain about random stuff, which is nice. Like, I know that was the worry because my last house, the neighbors were pretty chill, and then I'm moving to a new place, and the neighbors here, they're pretty chill too. I mean, I don't give them crap for any of the weird stuff they do. How much does a crucible cost? It varies. Some of them, I think the huge one I got are like $50, but they're like big. And then, I mean, like, or I think one might have been 80, but I can like put the sucker over my head. It's so big. Lucked out there. Yeah, I got some pretty chill neighbors. I went the neighbors on that side. I like went over there and like watched them lighting off fireworks. 4th of July. They're pretty cool. The guy over here is, I think he's an electrician. And he's always doing some crazy stuff. Building stuff and all that, grilling like out on his front lawn with like no shirt. Just random stuff. But everyone's pretty cool. The people kitty corner across the street, whoever was there ended up dying a few months ago, which is a super bummer. But the guy who moved in, the couple who moved in, old couple, I know their kids, so like we're already cool. So like nice. And a couple houses down, I just fixed a couple of her appliances, so she's happy, and just try to keep everyone happy. Don't mess with anybody. Don't do anything that scares anyone until they all know who you are. Glad your neighbors are chill. Only some of yours are. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Try to be friendly to the neighbors. People across the street over there had like a garage sale. Went over, introduced myself, bought some stuff. People across the street, they seem pretty chill. They're old, but they brought us some brownies when we moved in. They're all really nice, and just be nice to everyone. Help everyone out, and they'll cut you some slack if you're doing something that shoots fire everywhere. They won't call the cops. The UK also has 240-volt power. That's a lot easier heating than the 120-volt system. Yeah, that's the thing. These kilns back here are all 240 or gas, and the 240 ones, even like wide open, like 240 and 30 amps, like clicked full blast on, will take a few hours to get up to like melting stuff temperature, like hot metal temperature. I don't think I would want to try. Like it would have to be like 110 volt and 50 or 60 amps, something crazy. Like one of these back here is 240 volt and 50 amps, and it still takes like half the day to fire a thing of pottery, and that's like 2,300 tops. My neighbors think I'm completely crazy. When you're done something insane, it's nothing out of the ordinary. Yeah, that works too. That's another good tactic. Just make sure everyone knows you're insane, but the kind of insane where you're not going to hurt them, you're just going to do weird stuff, and they're all cool with it. Like my last house, I had one neighbor, single lady, middle age, well, a little past middle age, and I had this thing outside, and I was melting bronze, and it was at night, so it was shooting flames like this far, just out where the lid meets the bottom, and then belching bright green, like copper fire. And she just walked out, got our mail, said, "Hi." And then she like smiled, waved, walked back. No problem. Didn't seem to care. That's the best kind of neighbor. So I've been live almost 50 minutes. I promised my wife I wouldn't be out too long because we have, dinner coming up and one of our kids is sick. So I should probably sign off in a few minutes here. If anyone's got any last minute questions, I really don't want to leave when there's like more than 30 people watching because this is cool. But I did promise I'd be out pretty quick. For reference, it took me an hour to melt some copper in your furnace, 300 cubic centimeter crucible volume. In an electric furnace, yeah, see, I could melt. Let me grab the crucible. I'll show you what I have here. Uh-oh. It fused to my plinth block. My plinth block is very old. So this is the crucible I did today, or I did yesterday when I did this melt, and it looks pretty bad, but it looked a lot like this before I started. I'm gonna have to break that plinth block off. My plinth block is broken into like 6 pieces already. I just need to replace it. It is an uninsulated insulating fire brick, and it doesn't like where the stuff comes off the crucible and like melts into it. Anyway, I can do this full of copper in like half an hour without a problem. I don't know what this, how many cubic centimeters that equates to, but I don't know. Maybe a quart or two? Probably not two. 1 quart, a little more. Sure doesn't look nice though. Can't even set it up right. But yeah, and then I have a huge one that just barely fits in that thing, and I can do that full of aluminum, like easy, like in 20 minutes probably. Although generally when I do aluminum, I don't use the big power burner. I use this low power one because it's quiet, and like I don't need to melt all the aluminum in 10 minutes. I think there was a video though where I timed it, like how long to fill a crucible empty to full with molten aluminum. Like once it started to get hot to like full up, and it was like 4 minutes. It was crazy. Stack a few pieces of cardboard between the plinth and the crucible. Yeah, that's a great idea. I didn't do that for like the first 2 years. I was using this brick as a plinth block. I have not replaced that plinth block. I keep like pulling the chunks off and then just like piling them back together into brick shape and setting the crucible on it. This time it just got so hot that I think all the stuff leached through and like fused it. It's like glaze leaking on pottery and just fusing to the shelf. That's what this was. The crucible still, I mean, it's still plenty tough. I don't have chunks breaking off. It's still got nice clean edges all around it. And this one's always been really hot. Like this is the one I was using for bronze before also. So it's just a very well-used crucible. And I think all of them are all of them are expendable. Like none of the maybe aluminum, you can use a crucible over and over and over and over and over for aluminum. But once you start pushing these temperatures, like every time you use it, it looks a little bit worse. And eventually it looks awful. It just like wrecks them after a while, especially like the cast iron one. The crucible I used for that one time has like afterwards there were like bits just crumbling off of it. Like, oh, okay, glad it didn't crumble off when it was still molten. So anyways, look forward to the final video for these wood versus metal tests. I'm starting to get less confident about this as a thing. Maybe aluminum was the way to go, but I don't really like the look of aluminum in furniture. I like brass and bronze and stuff. Who knows? It really smells like a campfire, which I guess is to be expected, but it doesn't smell like that sawdust from walnut smell that's so good. Campfire mixed with Petrobond oil. Let's check out the burner build on your Raku video. Yeah, that's on there. I think it's called a Raku furnace. Like when I made the Raku furnace, it's like the 3rd video in that series is the burner. It's a few plumbing pieces. Like there's a square tube that I had just laying around, right? And this is a plumbing fitting. That's a plumbing fitting. That's a plumbing fitting. 2 band clamps. And then on this end was another plumbing fitting and a cap that I drilled a hole in. That's all it is. And then I just adjust the spacing. And then you jam that into one of these back here and it can get up to 2,400 degrees in cone 10 pottery. When's the next baby due? Hopefully there isn't another one coming, at least not right now. I am not aware of another one coming. 3 is enough. I know some people that have like 9 or 10 kids, and I just don't know how they do that. But that's 54 minutes. I'm going to pull my phone off the selfie stick here. Never used borax in my life. Crucible still looks like it's brand new. Yeah, I don't use borax at all anymore. I think I stopped using borax long before I did that crucible. And this one looks pretty good. It's just been so hot so many times. And like I said, I definitely overheated it this time. I was definitely up probably near iron temperature by the time I poured. The metal was like so flowy, it just like poured right out like crazy fast. So probably not doing that again. I don't know. We shall see. Multiple aluminum melts. Almost a cast iron melt. So aluminum melts are really easy. They seem to be really easy on furnaces. Ooh, that van. I got to get working on that. So I hope everyone's had a good day. Thanks for joining me. I will catch you all later. If you want to join on anything, just join the Discord. I'm on there occasionally. Most days I'm on there. Think you some pottery flux glaze on the one. Yeah, that was calcium carbonate whiting. I actually don't think I got them hot enough for the calcium carbonate to do any difference. Hopefully. Have a good night. Looking forward to your videos. Thank you. Got CPR certified. That's awesome. Amanda Pinecone, see ya. And Gene, see you later. Come join us on the Discord. Yes. Click that link from Chirpy. Thank you very much. I will see you all later. Welcome to my laundry room.